Prosím, ticho!
Přátelé, věnujte mi chvilku pozornost. Stala se nám taková nepříjemná věc. Nechci to tady roztahovat a nechci z toho taky dělat aféru.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
And SpaceX Freedom, splashdown. Good main release.
Copy, splashdown. We see main chutes cut. Nick, Alex, Butch, Sunny, Butch, Sunny.
Neboj, budou lepší, neboj.
And I played a lot of sports. And all of that happened in a little town called York, Maine, across the United States from where we're talking to you right now.
Houston is called Space City because NASA's Johnson Space Center is the home of human spaceflight. We design the missions, train the crews, and orchestrate the flights from right here in Houston.
Right here in Houston.
Right here in Houston. That's pretty funny. But for me, the next two lying astronauts encapsulate both the fraud and stupidity of NASA and its phony astronauts. First, we have Michael Collins at the post-Apollo 11 flight press conference on August 12, 1969. Michael Collins is the guy on the right. What makes Michael so special was his answer to the simple question of what the stars look like from the lunar surface.
I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may. When you were carrying out that incredible moonwalk, did you find that the surface was equally firm anywhere, or were there harder and softer spots that you could detect? And secondly, when you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were...
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were...
Poor Michael almost gave Neil a heart attack right there. Just look at Neil's face. I'd love to know what Neil said to him right there. Forgetting the script, Michael forgot that he actually never stepped onto the lunar surface, and so he shouldn't have even answered the question, and most certainly shouldn't have said he didn't remember seeing any stars. According to the official story, Michael was the pilot of the command module that was supposedly orbiting the moon at 3,600 miles per hour, and that's why Neil was so bothered by Michael's answer. Michael never went to the lunar surface.
When you were carrying out that incredible moonwalk...
Furthermore, Michael allegedly saw the dark side of the moon roughly 30 times. Michael would have had the best view of the stars far beyond any other person in history and would have had almost nothing to do but look at them. Yet he doesn't even remember seeing any stars.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were...
What's also interesting is the claim that Michael Collins was stuck in that cramped module for over 8 days. But I guess Ronald Evans from Apollo 17 supposedly beat Collins by being in that cramped module for an impossible 12 days and 13 hours. Could you imagine that?
Neboj, budou lepší, neboj.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Seriously, is there any person, even among the globe propagandists, who believe this utter nonsense?
But we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
What are you going to say, that I took poor Donald out of context? That was a great quote from Donald, but this next one is my favorite. Sometimes I wish we could go back and watch something like this again for the first time, because I remember laughing so hard when I first saw this. Watching Donald here is like watching a deer in the headlights. He has absolutely no clue how to answer this simple question. Is it any more obvious that none of these astronauts go through any actual training for space? Just watch this.
What happens if you get a leak on that?
Then you have a leak.
You just have a leak.
And what you would do
you
is...
lose air.
Yeah, you would probably seal the whole cupola off. And then there's probably a plan, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's probably a plan for replacing the mechanism. Might require a spacewalk.
So my question is, how can you operate a lid on the outside of the space station by manipulating something mechanical on the inside of the space station without losing air pressure?
It's called real good engineering. Then you have a leak.
Then you have a leak. Do you think a sailor on a submarine would know what to do in case of a leak? Just watch these submariners training.
Get on it. You got wet backs? You got strapping? Yeah. You're strapping. Cut it up. Music. Over here.
Do you think these sailors would know how to answer the question of what to do if there was a leak? I guess NASA didn't think it necessary to actually teach safety to their astronauts, since they're just a bunch of lousy actors hanging from wires and playing astronauts in front of green screens anyways.
So the rocket made it through here, okay? I'm not going to draw the Blue Origin rocket either, and don't even ask me why. Don't even ask, okay? So there's our rocket. Let's just say this is our rocket, and it's going up. And next, after the stratosphere, is the mesosphere, okay?
At 32 miles, we reach the mesosphere layer. This is also the layer in which most meteors start burning up as they enter Earth's atmosphere. They burn up because mesosphere is the highest layer of the atmosphere in which there are enough air and gases to cause friction and heat. At 54 miles, we reach the thermosphere. At 62 miles of altitude, we reach the Kármán line, which commonly represents the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space.
Also, by the way, it gets very hot at the bottom, and then it gets colder at the top until you get out to the ionosphere, when it can get extremely hot. But the bottom line is this, that the rocket ship here went outside of the mesosphere. Once you're outside of the mesosphere, there are so few air molecules that you're considered to be in space. The rocket cleared the troposphere, cleared the stratosphere, cleared the mesosphere.
At 32 miles, we reach the mesosphere layer. This is also the layer in which most meteors start burning up as they enter Earth's atmosphere. They burn up because mesosphere is the highest layer of the atmosphere in which there are enough air and gases to cause friction and heat.
That the rocket ship here went outside of the mesosphere. Once you're outside of the mesosphere, there are so few air molecules that you're considered to be in space.
So for now, those who are arguing, saying the Blue Origin didn't go high enough to come back and burn through the atmosphere. It went up to the Kármán line, which is 62 miles up. Okay, the mesosphere is where everything burns when it comes back through the atmosphere, which is 30 miles below where they supposedly went. So yes, the Blue Origin should have burned re-entering the mesosphere, which is 30 miles below the height that they supposedly went to. and therefore leaving burn marks on the capsule. But, of course, we all know that they didn't go in the first place, so get over it.
Co to? Tady nějaký nedorozumění. Tady jsou nějaký vtipálkové.